So earlier this spring, I had some comments on my channel on my video that I put out on planting tomatoes. And they stated that I planted my tomatoes way too close together, which may be true. I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to deny that. But again, going against the traditional sense of things, I am not really planting my tomatoes way too close together. I might be too close together, but not way too close together. Hey everybody, Doug Crock Gardener here. So, like I said, I plant my tomatoes real close together, but how do I get away with this? I'll tell you how. We do some pruning. We grow up and not out with the bushiness. So we try to maintain a good pruning schedule. It's been a week since I pruned my tomatoes. So let's go in and let's show you how I get these things done. All right guys, starting out, this may not be the very first best example, but I usually try to keep them down to 1 or 2 stems. You see I got a pretty good stem coming off here, but I got another stem back here. And what I usually do is definitely make sure I get all these little guys pruned off that are at the bottom. That guy right there is probably a fruit vine, but it's not producing anything. This guy right here is a sucker. Scroll up the plant here a little bit. This right here is another sucker. So you got your main vine here, and you got your leaf, basically your chlorophyll, your plant absorbing the sun leaf, and then right in here where you got the elbow, that right there is a sucker. Now typically you just want to take out all the suckers you can, because that's what they do, is they suck all the nutrients out. And I am actually going to be pruning these guys pretty low, so I'm taking off those other shade leaves as well. Take that guy off. So we're going to be doing these guys as high as we can. Trying to get as many of those bottom leaves off, because typically those bottom leaves are the ones that start getting the blight the soonest. And then a lot of times I'll let them go up, and every once in a while we'll allow a sucker to go through. And that creates a whole new, another vine. The suckers will produce fruit, but you don't want too many of them on there. You want to have mainly just 1 or 2 vines, but sometimes I allow 3 or 4 going. So look, we got flowers right there on that guy. We want to keep it. That guy right there is a huge sucker. And we're going to take it off. All right, so we backed out a little bit. I don't know if you can see this, but there's yet another sucker. Now let's get some of these lower leaves off. There's another big sucker. Typically we don't let those suckers grow that big. The next thing I do is I either get some Velcro or these clips. These clips are nice. They just basically clip around the branch. And I clip up my plants to make sure they stay where we want them to stay. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So we will keep growing up and up and up and up until we reach the top up there, which has got quite a ways to go. So in essence, we're not growing a bushy plant, but we're growing a tall plant. Okay, everybody, you can see we got these tomatoes done, and they are pruned up nicely. You can tell we got a nice stem going up there. Got another bunch of flowers. We'll just keep going up and up and up and up. And you notice the bottoms are pretty bare. I like to keep the bottoms pretty bare, like I said earlier. Come over here. We got a big old bunch of tomatoes down there. Now typically, I don't prune as much stuff off of these as what I did, but like I said, it's been a week or so So I did have a bunch of pruning that needed to be done. Here's another sucker that probably can be taken off. I missed. Give you a hint on how much I took off between these two rows. There you go. All right, guys, so you can see I did take quite a bit off of these guys. I'm not afraid that it's gonna hurt me, but I think it's gonna do me good in the long run. I'm not gonna have such bushy plants. Last year I had really bushy plants. It was hard to get all those tomatoes out of there. The reason why I do this is twofold. One, I am probably gonna get less yield out of my plants per plant, but by doing this, I can plant closer together. I get more plants in my bed, so I get more yield out of my garden that way. So I'm gonna be growing up, and I get more yield per square footage because I got 2 or 3 plants per square foot versus the one. And I'm growing tomatoes, not near as many leaves. So by squeezing that more in that little space, I'm gonna get more out of my garden. Yes, I am taking that hit. That's okay. The other thing that I am doing this for is I tend not to get as much disease. By trimming those lower branches off, I will not have near as many blight-borne pathogens that are going to hit those leaves and then follow up the plants. If you ever notice with your tomato plants, usually if they get blight, it starts at the bottom and that creeps its way up. So if you like what I'm doing here, you want to see how these turn out, if it's too late for you to do it this year, maybe you want to try this next year, subscribe to the channel. Follow me as I show you. I'll give you updates on these guys as we go along. I'll show you definitely how many tomatoes we're going to get this year and how many we're going to be producing. I think we're going to have quite the tomato harvest again this year. We had a pretty big one last year. We should have a pretty good size this year. Click that like button as always. Leave me a comment down below. How are you doing your tomatoes? Do you still think that this is way too far for me to plant these apart? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Time will tell. Cheers, everybody, and God bless.